people are much more concerned and aware of the importance of honeybees and other pollinators, which is a great thing. Sometimes bees invade people's houses and people don't know what to do. So what I'm gonna come with this new video series is to talk about something new that so people can know more about what to do in the specific case, so they don't need to kill the bees, don't need to call pest control anymore, so they can call what we call live bee removal experts. In this first video, I got together with a good friend of mine, a real pro that I believe that's the kind of guy, that's the kind of skills that you must have to be in this business. Mr. Dennis Langlois is the owner of Orlando Live Bee Removal Expert LLC, and you can find him in the link in the description below. In this first video, we're going to talk about regulation. There is some discussions about should the state regulate this new profession, who is supposed to get the job, pest control or beekeepers or somebody in specific regulated, somebody they need a license for. I got together with Dennis, there is a pro, he's a real pro, and I asked him a couple questions, and I want you guys to listen what he has to say. Should be live removal regulated?
I'm in favor of it. So a year or so ago, we had an issue in the state of Florida where the Pest Control Association had some issues with some of the bee removal technicians out there and what they were doing. And when those things were brought to light, I had no argument with them. I actually agree with some of the concerns they had. So in my opinion, I think regulation is a good thing, or some sort of license.
What was the issue?
So mainly the issues are that guys that are not licensed, in other words, as a beekeeper, we are allowed by the state to go out and do live bee removals. But live bee removals are defined by the fact that we're removing the bees alive and putting them into honey production or pollination. So some of these guys were going out and just euthanizing the bees and scraping and cleaning everything out, using their knowledge of bees to do the job, but they weren't removing the bees alive. So, I really don't think that's above board and honest. So, that's one of the issues. One of the other issues was guys are essentially doing hack jobs. They're not experienced. They have no idea what they're doing. They're going and cutting into folks' homes, possibly doing structural damage, and then just covering those things up. So, there are some concerns. And as a homeowner, property owner, business owner, I think those things are important to consider. So, regulating people, licensing people, keeps people transparent, it keeps people accountable. So these things are important, and they exist in our society in many places for good reason.
There was an article in Beekeeper magazine this week that got my attention. Apparently in Texas, they're trying to regulate it.
Right.
And the beekeepers were upset about it. There was some biases, I think, regarding the beekeepers, that everybody's going to be legal very fast, and they apparently do not have a plan in place
right
after this law started. What do you think about that?
So, in terms of the regulations, just like anything else, if you're going to be a licensed contractor, you need to show that you can do this. You need to be accountable in the sense of insurance, for example, protocols, proper protocols. There can be a certain amount of policing to keep people in check and accountable that I think is very important. For example, one of the other issues is if you remove a colony of bees and you're driving down the street in your pickup truck with that colony in the back of the pickup truck, what happens to nearby people on motorcycles or in a crosswalk or what have you? So it's protocol issues. It's how to properly protect the public, how to make sure the customers are protected, and how to be accountable if you should make a mistake.
Which situation you think is more toward the bee live removal or the pest control?
Well, I think I'm slightly biased,
yes,
because I see things from one perspective. But as a result of knowing that, I really try to look at things from the other person's point of view. And I have a lot of friends in the pest control industry that I've had great conversations with and gained great knowledge from. I still feel like there's more problems resulting from the pest control side. So generally speaking, I think most beekeepers love bees and generally want to make sure that the bees are taken care of. So they're not going to do something that's going to harm other bees. So they might do something that's maybe not in the best interest of the homeowner, but they're certainly in the best interest of the bees. So pest control guys, unfortunately, sometimes just don't have proper knowledge or training. So even though their best interest is for the customer, and maybe even their best interest is in for the bees, their lack of knowledge ends up hurting not only the bees locally, but the beekeeping community as a result. So, and I'll give you an example. If a pest control operator kills a colony of bees, but doesn't understand how bee colonies operate and leaves things exposed in such a way that other bee colonies can get involved or get into the material left behind, it could potentially kill many other bee colonies as well. And I've seen that many, many times. So I think that's something that goes unnoticed.
I think that's a good point, and I wanna emphasize this because it's more. You need to know bee biology to understand what you're saying. So I want to stop here a little bit for the people at home to understand the problem. When you have a situation that a bee colony is sprayed, the bee is gonna die, but there is a lot of leftovers there.
Right.
Depending on the chemical that was used, that chemical can stay there for a long time. But the big problem is colonies around that area are going to be able to smell the remainings of the old colony that was there. And then they're going to be attracted by that. It's going flying there, collect the material, and bring it home.
Exactly.
Contaminating the other colonies. That's what you're talking about?
That's the concern.
And then kill a lot of other hives. And that creates a lot of other problems that I want you to address, because in a beekeeping community, when there is a mysterious die-off, people start to pointing fingers to each other, and it's all kind of
Pesticides, mosquito control, all kinds of things. My next door neighbor sprayed his flowers.
And it's probably a very simple problem, very easy to solve, that nobody can see because it's coming from a different direction.
Yep.
Is that correct?
I absolutely think that. I do. And I think being in the industry that I'm in, I'm getting an opportunity to see into something that a lot of other people really don't get a chance to see. The pest control industry doesn't see the aftermath. What they see is customer calls them again, customer calls them again, customer keeps calling, we're at a loss, call a beekeeper. Well, that's it. They walk away from the situation and they don't learn anything from it. So I think in terms of education, what's important to understand is I've had customers that have had pest control 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and they're still seeing bees. Why is that? Well, we as beekeepers we know right away that these are robbing bees that are coming in to take whatever material's left behind. They're going to continue to do that until all that material is cleaned out. So if the pest control guy's been there 3 or 4 times, imagine the dose of chemicals that have been sprayed into that cavity.
Another point that I want to, you brought that up, but I want to emphasize. People like to be mad about these people, but we shouldn't.
No.
Because there is no bad people, there's misinformed people.
There is.
Most of them are good people trying to do good, they respect bees, but they don't know better. Is that correct?
I would even go so far as to say all of them are great people. I've not met one guy that had ill will towards bees. I never met a pest control guy that didn't care about his customer. Never. In fact, a lot of them I've made great friendships with because I cared about what they're trying to accomplish, and just in talking, they realized like, oh wow, this is not what my intentions were. My intentions were good for the bees, good for the customer, good for everybody. And now that I've learned something that I didn't know before, I don't want to do this.
How we solve this situation?
Education. Education is everything. When people know better, they do better.
I believe that too. Education solves a lot of problems.
Not many guys want to kill bees in the first place. But if their customer calls and says, I have an infestation of bees and they're stinging my lawn guy, or they're getting into my house, or whatever the case, what person isn't going to want to help their customer? Their intentions are great. It's just the protocols that they think are proper sometimes are just slightly off. Just slightly. but it makes a big difference.
Oh, I think we cover everything. Thank you very much, Dennis. I really appreciate your time. And yeah, thanks again.
Well, I really appreciate you bringing this issue to the surface, and hopefully we'll see some changes
Yeah, me too. Thank you very much.
for the bees.
Yes.